middle of this, don't be alarmed. But I'm going to try to make that not happen. Alright. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Have you ever felt sad and hoped for a switch that could automatically make you happy? Or have you ever wished that you could save the world from misery and conflict? Well, L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Church of Scientology, believes you can. For those of you that haven't heard of it, Scientology is a billion-dollar industry in religion that millions of people practice around the world. And just as there are faithful followers of this religion, there are also many skeptics. Today I will describe the process of entering Scientology, what Scientology preaches, and the process of leaving. L. Ron Hubbard, in his book Scientology, Theology, and the Practice of a Contemporary Religion, says the explicit aim of Scientology is a civilization without insanity, without criminals and without war, where the able can prosper and honest beings can have rights, and where man is free to rise to greater heights. Another explicit aim he mentions is to put man into a mental condition where him can solve his own problems. Scientology is the idea that one can better themselves while bettering the world, and therefore reaching your highest potential as a spiritual being. Scientology gives you a sense of purpose in life, or so they say. This belief system, founded in 1954, is made up of two groups: parishioners, people that are either recruited into Scientology or decide to join, and they are average people with other jobs and responsibilities, or Sea Organization members, the top clergy of the church who dedicate their life to Scientology. At the beginning of this belief system, during the 1960s, governments around the world went after this organization for being a cult. However, Scientology stayed alive during this scrutiny and eventually received tax exemption from the IRS in 1993, declaring it a mainstream religion around the world. The process of entering Scientology is easy and welcoming, similar to any other church or religion. Once you enter, they teach heavily that you are an individual spiritual being that is both helping yourself and the world. Entering the church, although it is easy, can also be extremely expensive, not something you typically see with other religions. Upon entering, you are expected to give up as much money as is necessary to buy all of the books you need, obtaining all of L. Ron Hubbard's teachings and findings, and all of the courses that you are required to go through. Most members of the church pay at least $200,000, and sometimes much more. Scientology is centered around the concept of a theory called Dianetics, and the practice of counseling sessions called auditing. Dianetics on the Scientology website is defined as a system developed by the founder of the Church of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, that aims to relieve psychosomatic disorder by cleansing the mind of harmful images. Hubbard, in his book Dianetics, calls this process a science of the mind. The basic principle of Dianetics is that by auditing, which is really similar to talking to someone but much more expensive, you can be freed of your reactive mind, the part of your mind in which Scientology says is out to make you fail at life. Auditing looks like this, and it uses a specifically developed auditing machine which is similar to a lie detector. Auditing is broken up into very specific OT levels, which require extensive training in each of them. Sometimes you even have to do some levels over again, paying for them repeatedly in order to move on to the next. Hubbard developed the process of auditing to aid the people in Scientology to work out any shortcomings in their life and reach their highest potential. Although many Scientologists value this, even ones that have left the church, these sessions can be up to hundreds of dollars an hour. What I found when researching Scientology for this speech was much more upfront criticism of this organization than support. That to me was very interesting, and where this criticism mainly lies is in the process of leaving. The process of leaving is much more difficult than joining. The process of leaving. Let's think about that in and of itself. Why is something that you decide to just simply not believe in anymore, or something that you don't agree with, a process? Shouldn't you simply be able to just leave? Unfortunately, sometimes that is not just the case in Scientology. Obviously, any belief system that you were once faithful to does not necessarily want you to leave, but doing so is your right. Now, you might be wondering, why is it so hard to leave? For some parishioners and people that don't have very much invested in Scientology, leaving is not a chore. However, for Sea Organization members, celebrities, and other people of rank in the church, leaving is just not that easy. And according to Leah Remini in her television documentary, Scientology in the Aftermath, if they do decide to leave, they will most likely be labeled enemies or suppressive persons of the church. This is where the idea of disconnection comes in. If you're an active member of the church and you have a family member or someone you know that is in Scientology that has been labeled a suppressive person or an enemy, you are not allowed to have any contact with them. Amy Scobie, a former Sea Organization member, wrote about breaking away from the church in her book, Abuse at the Top. She stated that her process of leaving was not easy. Once the church saw that she was doubting the beliefs taught in Scientology, they sent her to the Rehabilitation Project Force in rural California. The Rehabilitation Project Force is a thought reform program for disgruntled Sea Organization members who get in trouble. At first, this institution seems innocent. It seems like a place where Scientology wants their most respected members to go redefine their faith. But Scobie shed some light to show that that is not necessarily true. Her time at the Rehabilitation Project Force included hard manual labor, being forced to run wherever she went, being fenced in, having no contact in or out at any point, and seeing guards with guns anywhere she looked. Luckily for Amy, she did eventually escape, but only after 3 years of hardships, being labeled a suppressive person publicly by the church, and being forced to disconnect with her entire family. I want to make it clear that not all processes of leaving Scientology are just like this one. But also, there have been hundreds of stories just like it, making me question what the truth is beneath all of this absurdity. I didn't want to find out everything I had done my whole life was a lie, said Leah Remini in her interview with Jeff Nelson that's titled Leah Remini's Fight Against Scientology, published in September of 2017. After innocently researching this topic, uncovering both the positive and negative sides of it, this quote really resonated with me. Although I applaud the ideals taught in Scientology, which include bettering yourself and helping the world, I cannot adhere to a belief system that practices disconnecting individuals from their families, not allowing people to leave once they have joined the church, and controlling your reactive mind to the point where you become almost robotic. Thank you.